Amid the ideological madness and hysteria besieging the West in recent years, the approach which has been emanating from Hungary comes as a breath of fresh air.
Its approach to immigration, patriotic cultural programs and promotion of the traditional family have angered much of the establishment elites in our own countries. But how has Hungary remained steadfast in the face of demonization? How successful are these policies? And as the country faces its general election next month, what can we in Western Europe and America learn from Hungary in restoring our culture, institutions, and indeed our politics?
If one wants to comprehend the politics of Hungary, one has to be aware of the events that have shaped this nation's psyche. It is the history of a distinct Central European people with their own unique language, constantly fending off invaders and having their identity and agency suppressed by various occupiers for more or less 500 years. The most recent of these occupations being Soviet Russia. The post-war Soviet occupation of Hungary was brutal, killing hundreds of thousands in the purging of Hungarian citizens, leaders and intellectuals, as well as the suppression of rallies held in defiance of the occupation. The communist era ended in 1989 with the creation of the Third Republic, and it was against this oppressive background that the Conservative Party Fidesz was formed.
Orbán and Fidesz, Hungary's ruling party, are often accused of building an authoritarian state. This overstates both the extent of their political control and their ideological ambitions. The Hungarian Prime Minister is best understood as a conservative institutionalist who seeks to seize the commanding heights of Hungarian society by influencing the country's key organizations and cultural bodies.
In pursuit of this goal, Orbán is unabashed, disregarding globalist norms all too common in Western Europe.
Currently, the Western civilization is not in a good shape. Western civilization itself was very dominant in the previous centuries. But currently, it seems that in the 21st century, things might be changing. New competitors emerging, new challenges are, even global challenges are here in the front yards. So, and I think everybody, every country's elite is desperately looking for solutions or answers, how to tackle these challenges, how to answer to these questions. And there are two different, and obviously there are two different type of answers. One type of people, they are saying that that's the liberal approach, according to my understanding, is that the values which what we were taking seriously in the last decades, those values are outdated and they block us. And the reason why we are not finding the proper answer is because we are stuck with these values, these traditional old type of values, like nation states, like traditional families, like traditional way of market, and so on and so on. Traditional biological roles and whatever. And their answer is that we have to reinvent everything. We have to find a new value system. We have to find something which is not linked to the past. And if we find that, and if the society, the economy, the whole political structure is changing toward that direction, then we will have the answer and we will emerge again. What the conservatives are saying is just the opposite. They are saying that look, these are the values which made us successful. Christianity, nationhood, just traditional families with children, ethical, moral values based on Judeo-Christian heritage, traditional concept of sex, gender, and education, or traditional concept of free market and the involvement of state. And our problem is that we are turning away from these values. So what should be done is to turn back to these values and to use it also in 21st century circumstances.
A fine example of the restoration of pride and identity in Hungarian culture is this, the National Houseman Programme. A 10-year scheme to revamp Budapest's castle district. This has seen the reconstruction of the public spaces and buildings which were partly destroyed and fell into disrepair during communist occupation. There is something in this project that speaks more broadly of the changes taking place in Hungary. It speaks of the restoration of identity, of beauty, of a respect and love for the country's heritage, of the things that bind people together as a culture, a community, a country, but not at the expense of dialogue or free thinking. I, for one, have been struck by the thriving open-mindedness and exchange of ideas in Hungarian institutions, especially when compared with the stultifying atmosphere we have come used to in Western Europe.
Hungary is a country whose past is riddled with ideological failures. There is therefore a recognition and love of what is tried and tested, as well as a justified scepticism towards new and potentially destructive ideas. In doing this, they have done the West's conservative movement considerable service. For too long, conservatives across Europe and America have shied away from fighting their battles, from abstract values through to actual public policy. By putting conservative values to work, Viktor Orban and his government perhaps have created a tangible, workable alternative to the mainstream of the West. Perhaps this, better than anything else, explains the ferocity of their critics. They fear that in the face of the influx of illegal migrants, the toppling of statues, the compromising of our universities and institutions, and the sheer relentless self-loathing, Western onlookers might be inspired to look at what Hungary has been doing.